I had a dream. I traveled the ancient meadows, the honey waterfalls and yellow canyons. And when I raised my eyes, I felt the sky turn my head, and I was all alone. There was so cold, the cold I felt no longer. And I was not afraid of loneliness. I journeyed thousands years barefoot, the deserts and the underwater. I was a selfless drop that has returned to ocean. I wish I smiled, but couldn't move my lips. I wish I split the waves, but melted in the maroon sunset. No one was there. I wondered if I'd soon be waking and disappear in gray reality, filled by the people that never heard somebody, somewhere, me. If I could end my days like this, stay here like lonesome shepherd, romantic and forsaken, my river knows, I'd learn the mystery of springs, intoxicated by the odors smelling honey, and hark to steel strings while counting my beads and sensing whole existence beneath the sun of the sleepless, unseen. But I know that man, I know that place, I know that life could not be mine, and reveries just pass me by, and I am just a wretched man, like thousands of the others, who somehow kept the slightest shadow of ancient meadows, of beauty long time gone, of birchen rains.
That's what it is, my baby, and nobody's immune. Right, it's actually way worse than that. It's actually like we're rapidly heading towards a social dystopia. You ever thought about that fuckface? Like, people spend most of their time looking at screens. There's no community, there's no family. You have no chance of owning property, most likely. And, you know, the whole sort of social structure of things, the cohesion just isn't there. So people mix it up, and you have to really pinpoint the reason why. The thing is that looks only gain this supreme importance as a function of isolation. It's not just that now all of a sudden looks are this important. They're that important because of isolation.
who never participated in life. I burned like a plucked flower on the altar of forgotten words, stuck forever in a dream trap, in the cradle of my dreams, and folded my dead wings, entangled in pale cobwebs, a web of silver rains, rays of cold and sleepless sun. I'm just a ghost with no past or future, a ghost alien to everything, forever mourning this hostile, changeable world. I'm walking on the burnt ground in neurolepsy of smoke and coma, of long stagnant moans. Protein crescent hung like a frozen yolk over the fireplace, charred branches of broken destinies. Above me, comet water striders draw formulas and equations of the ideal destiny. I'm walking on the burnt ground. An old paramedic stands at the window, lighting a candle, and brings his palms to the decayed icon in the bright room, where they sing day and night their dreams, prayers, singing plumbing and electrical wiring. And the candle smokes so much, deceiving him with the smell of childhood. That's what the cookies smelled like. Oatmeal, mom's cookies. Whispers, either human or drops of water. A lament, either human or hundreds of candles. A line of ghosts waiting for eternity, for a gray ticket. Witness my death. An old paramedic stands at the window, blowing out a candle. Do you hear the voice of the earth and me in the spring chorus, in the cemetery hubbub of birds, in the black funeral feasts that have sounded for a long time, the choked bells? Like the shadow of furious dreams, I slide over the gravestone portraits, by the wind, drunk, fallen in the weeds, whistling brushwood from the road. Every night I see my father in my dreams. He's more alive than the living, and I am deader than in life. This time before dawn, we looked in vain for a tavern, walked silently. I would like to drink, but there is nothing to drink with. Do you hear the voice of the earth? I merge with my deity with a quiet background of sick interlinear lines. My deity is in the pale sun of dawn, spilled on dirty window glass, in warm drops of rain on the carriage glass of a nameless train, in the gray twilight of childhood, in a smile made of Edenic clay, who has not yet known the forbidden fruit of suffering, in crystals not yet stained with blood, in the Holy Grail, undefiled, the muddy cup of my joys, which has known so many treacherous lips, filled with the evil of the Lord, who is not mine. I am saved by my deity. New slide and diascope. The brushwood of broken destinies on the burnt land suddenly changes to the city of the future invented by a neural network. City I look at from the balcony of a new apartment with retro-style objects. On the convex lens of a matte CRT, green codes decipher another universe. signals caught by wild grape stems, a Martian radio rattling in the mouth, under the sink, a tape recorder in the attic, loudspeakers underwater, that foggy orange light outside the window, and that feeling when life was ahead, and my obviously best version, smiling at the window display mirrors, goes shopping eau de toilette from Givenchy on Lennon Street. On the other side of us, I squeeze with a tired, trembling hand, preparing to insert new slide in Diascope. You have you, only you and only, who is like a dusty sarcophagus, protects the corpse of old music from time no one has needed for a long time, who is talking on the ocean shore with phantoms of angels, decayed long ago, with wordless strokes of shadows on a deserted road. Their messages are not heard by anyone. Only you, whose boyish profile is covered, the long coarsened skin of a man to whom time reveals someone completely unfamiliar in the reflections of mirrors. You're lying in a hospital bed, cold and white, like a herring fish, and your family doctor, with an old pince-nez on his nose, slowly cuts off piece by piece, repeating significantly, Therapia est in herbs, verbis et lapidibus. He once, in better times, was rich and successful and saved children from plague and measles. Nowadays, he sells pacifiers in beautiful bottles and talks beautifully, cutting off piece by piece the cucumbers of your feet, sucking the olives of your pupils, pressing gently with a knife on the blue throat. The day after tomorrow, there will be a global consultation for incurable diseases. The pandemic plan will be approved by the authorities. Maestro from a prosperous country will play the violin to beaten half-to-death milkmaid, Mozart, and Albinoni in the stable. Instead of sweets and padded jackets, we'll give fairy tales to orphans' hierophants, looking at thin, frost-covered fingers. On the window bars of the shelter, everything will be as before. Routine evil, the banality of unbearable crosses, slaughterhouses and knackers, heartless children, stupid and angry old people, ATM people, indifference, lust and intoxication, and the once inspiring sound of iron wheels and the whistle of the locomotive. Only one thing is repeated now. It will never be fine. It will never be fine. gathering the bones in an armful, I get up in the evening and go out onto the roof of the high-rise building and stay there for hours. And no one will come, won't be with you, neither devil nor angel. Only you and only, powerless before the bonds of fear, omnipotent God unto himself for lack of anything else. You have, you only you and only, and the cloudy sun, and the cold wind, and loneliness. In urbis, verbis et lapidibus. And you dream. You dream of a northern night and white dogs, of someone close to you who sits next to you, not letting go of your hand. The crew rushes through a snowstorm to the yurt of an old shaman who will undertake to treat you long and meticulously. You can already hear the moans of her shamanism, the smell of a fire and healing potions. You can already feel the sweet, bitter taste of witchcraft herbs on your lips. In these dreams, the future and the unfulfilled merge together, taking new, but at the same time familiar forms. Cozy memories in which the old city, a cafe where the closest friends gathered, tarot and Lenormand fortune-telling cards, the rustle of a shuffled deck, the bluish smoke of lavender incense and Palo Santo sticks, the bittersweet African coffee hiding secrets in its magical thicket, the flickering flames of candles and a selenite wand in the thin fingers of a gentle hand, performing an aerial Reiki dance. What was that woman thinking about who was telling our fortunes in the cafe, escaping from her pain and fortune-telling, looking at the others, young and in love, thirsting to know their fate? I didn't want to think about it. And that's why the shaman, to whom I am heading now, has a northern face, expressing nothing but detachment, as if hiding from a curious look under a thick network of wrinkles on her dark skin, melting in the smoke of the fire. It seems that all this is already happening to me in reality. You're nearby, and we are together in the distant northern desert. During the day, the shaman heals me with cold and spells, and at night, flapping her arms like a huge owl with its shaggy wings, she soars up under the fabric dome of a spacious yurt and hides like a dryad in its folds, leaving us alone. It is unknown whether she is watching us or falling into a deep sleep. We, lying on warm and prickly animal skins, indulge in caresses. You become a bird. Your body rises above mine and descends with a booming exhalation like an angel, now rising above the milky thicket of clouds, now diving into their depths. You heal me with your body, and the entire universe floats past us, seething and restless, accompanied by the distant whistles of a night train, the languid singing of its steam calliope. Then we fall asleep together and see the same dream, a lonely island in the ocean, a deserted rocky shore of the island, two bodies intertwined in the water. Everything around is deserted and lonely. Only we are not alone, looking at each other, looking at ourselves, as if from the outside, and unable to believe that all this is real. The sea, like a film projector, throws waves of memories onto the relief screen of the cliff with colored shadows. How much fatigue is in these waves? How much wisdom is in the eyes of the actors playing in this silent film? How much youth is in their touches of old stones? Do you hear? The train is arriving. You whisper in a half-sleep, hugging me tighter. I wake up and see our room outside of time. The fogged glass of the uncurtained window responds with a slight tremor from a train passing nearby. Again, the sky filled with lead ahead of schedule. Behind the cold fog, there is a calling abyss of foreign cities sheltering my dreams before I forgot how to dream, and flies like an arrow through the abyss. Old train carrying belated news from me to those whom I have never met, never found out, and didn't save. The wisdom of blue whales leaving behind the night, cold, unyielding like a winter dawn, and iron days on iron pillows that float across the sky like silhouettes of dead dolphins. Only bitterness in the mouth in the morning says they were alive yesterday, that yesterday was 20 years ago. The first snow turned gray for the time being. I am as desperate as before. My motive is beautiful, like suicide, like those strangers in strange cities. And in my waking dreams, as before, I look through wet glass on the tree branches floating by under a leaden, tear-stained sky. At night, I keep wandering with my eyes along the roots of past calligraphies, numbers, addresses in a worn-out notebook. I pick up the phone in the night, catching the silence by surprise. I so want to believe that the ghostly world, what I missed, was real. But death is like an angry spotlight over the stage of a disrupted performance. The sun hits my eyes, dystopian, rusty Hulk shades of houses like a lattice above your head, covers the sky, splits the melody of years into squares, and I forget your features, our tears and kisses, meeting in a cozy cafe in the evenings, Patricia's sad voice, as if she prophesied, then we will be. Crazy books and magic, sad anime, sad songs of youth from the 90s and zeros, running away from everyone, brief intimacy, hangover mornings, leaden sky, full of sleeping dolphins, new breakup forever. Is it a dream or a vision by accident? Suddenly it stirs up the leaden abyss of oblivion, like a train rushing across the steppe, briefly raises whirlwinds of sand, and picking up the phone as a station master of abandoned station, I will remain silent. My friend, no more news. I am no longer needed in this world. I will say and forget myself. Night lights of my memories when I wandered on a deserted night through the parks of a foreign city. Red-blue tears of loneliness and restlessness, waiting for a miracle rushing in an ambulance to someone else. Night lights of secret meetings on the foggy window glass of a taxi, cold hotel, the colors of dawn on the tiled walls of the hospital, when I renounced the dirty night in severe poisoning from real life, and so wanted the inexpressible purity of being, that indifferent nurses in boiling white coats seemed to me like the good fairies of Narnia, night lights of indifference, when I lay crying and drunk on the highway, waiting for a speeding car to smash me on the asphalt, wet from rain. Rain and night lights are my constant dark companions. Night lights of emptiness, which has deployed its theater of ephemerality in everything that exists in the world, in everything that surrounds me, carefree, unbearable lightness of being, similar to your farewell, spoken with a smile. Another minute or two, intoxicated by your breath and rose wine. I'll hold out, and then it starts to rain. Night lights of betrayal, some of which were done for the sake of curiosity, but still most of them are in a vain attempt to escape from the ambivalence of feelings that consumes you. Red and blue vomit on jeans, cheap alcohol, return of the prodigal dog to the greasy bar counter. Night lights of illusions and the rain of lost time. How unimportant and funny they become over time, when the heart grows hard, getting used to the imposed plot of existence, when everything that was fascinating yesterday depreciates a prophetic song of the coming catastrophe, when you envy young people raging in a hormonal frenzy and send it to Lorelei your insincere air kiss, and humming Avec le temps with an ironic grin. Dry lips are unaccustomed to smiling facial expressions. The eyebrows have long been fused with the accents grave and aigu over the permanent gaze of self. The killer's red and blue cadaveric spots appear on my barren, empty heart of an old man, heart that sought and did not find, and still mechanically searching for something in the futile masquerade of life, where the only feasible joy is to watch the fading stars, the smoldering of missed chances, endless torture of absolute impossibility, and rain, and night lights. What is home if you see right through its walls? White hidden by time, loose adobe bricks and rotten wooden beams trembling under you? The house where the one who does not wear his cross very confidently does not recognize you without a cross, The roar of planes taking off can be heard from the airport, but you've never heard the plane land. What is home if the floor is transparent and you see the city passing by outside the windows? If they grab you by the hooks and move your house every time from place to place, government helicopters freeing up space for new developments, military men with burning swastikas on their sleeves, they bring you back again and again under escort if you dare to go out. And everyone who glances in your direction becomes a thief, if not in reality, then certainly in your heart. What is home if wherever you are, you don't have a home, and the director who made a film about it denies its own leitmotif, looks reproachfully like at an actor dissatisfied with his meager fee? What is home if there are no songs about it? More than 100 years, if no one else sings about it?
I get lonely a lot, and the reason why I'm so lonely at this point in my life is because I did not do a good job making friends when I was younger. And a lot of people my age have like that one friend or that group of friends that they've just known their entire lives. Since they were 7 years old, they just had this group. They've had maybe, I want to kind of start by talking about that because it's such a real like problem that I have in my life. The sadness that comes from being lonely, it destroys me. It destroys my psyche. It makes me more insecure. The thing that is an idea that will really transform your life, everyone is really the same, and that we all have the same common experiences, and that there's like obvious differences in ourselves and our lives and the choices we make and stuff. But overall, the human experience is really, it can really boil it down to a few common things that we all share. And when you can connect with people in a way that, you recognize these things together,
I fucking hate being ugly. I fucking hate it. I hate it so much. Oh my god. It's like being, I don't know. It's like being smelly or something. People treat you weirdly and you just don't know why until one day someone tells you, you fucking smell, you fucking ugly, and then it all comes together.
The winter cold of oblivion, the chill of inevitable rebirth, calming the fever of everyday drudgery. Winter sleep, full of cherry blossom petals scattered along the road and floating on the surface of the river. A landscape full of dragonflies, hovering on pink wings above the road, and the river above us walking hand in hand. A dream where I am the master of dragonflies, rattling flocks of necklaces encircling the low clouds, remembering the Sumerian lament about the transience of life and the unattainability of immortality, snake doctors weighing human souls and sifting them like a sieve over a mirror of pure water. I conduct their restless flight, snatching the notes of forgotten music from my hands. Pinkish flocks envelop us in harmony, oozing from petal wings. Lightness. There is no comparable lightness to walk, holding hands. Just walking, not remembering who we are and where we are from, not knowing what awaits us tomorrow. The lightness of life without promises and expectations. We, already dead or not yet born, in a world that never was. The train is arriving. Your voice comes as if from another world, reminding me of that easy love that was given to us at a high price in that parallel world of inescapable heaviness. And from these words, the present me becomes almost weightless. Intoxication with peace is the sweetest haze. We walk along the riverbank, and cherry twilight gradually covers us. Fireflies, lighting up in hundreds in the crowns of age-old trees, timidly flicker, illuminate the way, and the bank itself turns into an endless table where everyone who came in the twilight is invited. It seems that in the distance, I see the silhouettes of people sitting at the table. Among them is my father in the company of our long-gone ancestors. In the distance, a violin can barely be heard. Now, the cello is echoing it confidently and sternly. Berries and bunches of grapes on the table shimmer with an unearthly light. Stars fall into glasses of wine, scattering golden sparks around them. The wind tears new petals from the branches, and they fall on my eyelids. I close my eyes, unable to resist the hypnosis of what is happening. And now, in barely distinguishable flashes, the snowflakes of the northern country, the shining eyes of sled dogs, the selenite staff of a fortune teller dispersing the smoke of incense, yellowish lights rushing past in blurred spots outside the windows of a taxi, and raindrops running along them in slanting strokes. Raindrops trembling on the window glass of a lonely, cold room at the hour when a train arrives. And mercy triumphs over judgment. Can the Almighty create a stone who can't lift? I asked, and the world rolled its eyes to the sky, imagining a block which is harder than diamond and larger than the sun. The eyes of the world came full circle and settled on me, meeting my bitter smile with bewilderment. This stone, I continued, has already been created a long time ago, and it is no more than a hand clenched into a fist. This stone is my heart. Look around you. From creation we stand nameless in the rock garden. Just as a star attracts other celestial bodies, taking away their body in space, this is how a predator devours its prey. And the long, grueling balance of the celestial bodies, only their invisible fall. The old lion, expelled from the pride, will fall to the ground without strength, and the stars, having exhausted all their hopes, will fall one day onto a sandy shroud. A fallen star is no longer a star, but just a stone. Every word I say is a judgment. Every breath I take is a wheeze of rage. Every thought is poison. As soon as I gain strength, I am drawn to destruction. Whenever I lose strength and get sick, crying for the Garden of Eden pours out of my eyes like a shower. And just between this and that, between failure and defeat, in a short moment of calm, bordering on indifference, when the executioner is already sleeping inside me, and the trembling creature has not yet woken up, I understand that no one is guilty, that everyone deserves forgiveness, salvation, transformation, because we will all die, and none of us will change. And the law of the Spirit is inseparable from the law of the flesh, and freedom of will and choice is the most vile lie. And then I whisper, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. And the cloudy moon hides its face in embarrassment behind the veil of night clouds. I don't exist, because if I existed, then he would know joy and equally know grief. But I didn't know either one or the other completely. My hands are a sieve with holes in which I cannot carry the wine of the bitter memory of you. I forget myself in a dream. I forget myself in reality. My body is a phantom because it doesn't burn to the ground, does not fall into the underworld when I think of you. My heart is a traitor because cannot mourn you endlessly, betrays you, consigns you to oblivion, and weakens over time. My non-existence is absurd and inappropriate, like laughter at a funeral service, as the impossibility of retribution. I don't exist because if I existed, I wouldn't have been able to live since you were gone. I would curse the day I was born, and I'm silent. Nothing makes me happy. I release the bird from my hand and see it dead. I invite guests and see them laughing at my coffin. I trust my friend's faithful word and wait when the lie is revealed in him. Everything has already happened. It was a long time ago. Everything has already been done many times. I cannot feast during the plague, and knowing the outcome, I cannot enjoy the moment. I drink. I don't get drunk. Sunspots are always blacker than the one that frames them, deceptive light. My advice to you, if you want to live, strive with all your heart to sleep, nurture lies with all your thoughts, for only lie is salvation. I feel you alive, my friend, only when you are suffering. Blind sympathy is more perceptive than our other senses. You have no name, no homeland. Experience and memory are a mirage that will melt away in the morning. Nothing is yours except suffering. And there is nothing higher and more significant than suffering. The rest is just the body, my hateful body, your juicy body luring into the trap of voluptuousness. Like a mother wolf who sheltered a lion cub, my wolf soul warms your suffering, the warmth of that fire in which your whole world perished. Echoes of that element, merciless, blind, that it rips your skin off and leaves you alone in the darkness. And then he catches us into the trap of compassion. Boy, 100 years ago, lost in the Garden of Eden, says to the unresponsive trees, I'm tired. Rosebuds shaking off the dew, they whisper to the wind in the evening, we are tired. A stone in a quiet dam under the hour-long hubbub of birds, I look at the distant reach, to the eternal, invincible movement, unattainable. I've been watching for 100 and 1,000 years, and I'm silent. I'm tired. I'm obsessed with your smooth young skin, tender baby lips, and light puberty fluff above them. I want to swallow the slenderness of your body, thin and tender, fragile and hot, like fresh milk. I want to taste the bloody passion in your breath when you bite my lips in a frenzied kiss. I want to lick the tears of your grief when, seized by lust, you completely trust me. I want to breathe your health and beauty, forgetting my years, my ugliness, my melancholy and anger. I want you to worship my experience as much as I worship your purity. I want your liquids to become my liquids. I want your hot mouth to suck me dry. I want to see your feverish bliss from my penetration until we come. And I want the hours of silence when you lay exhausted on my chest. The silent night of security, the silent night of serenity. Not knowing each other's names, not knowing each other's stories, but the pain of 1,000 years, with no tomorrow, released in our unity. Lips sucked me in hotly. Only these fragile hands managed to embrace the abyss between two generations. I am older than you. I am like a father to you. But no, you are wiser than me, 100 times more sinless. Even if with me in the morning you get bored sometimes, that's really funny. You don't judge or despise how we did it. And the more you learned a variety of people, the more sacred is your free spirit. If only we could be the harlots for each other, the moderate joy of meeting, how we meet the sunrise's carefree goodbye, like a child's dreamy look following the sparks of August starfall, which is always foreboding the new star behind horizon and continuation. orange moon against a purple sky, sunset of a hot day, falling in dirty, powerless tones from trees, flowing down the walls, becoming the road dust, the inscription on the visor of the bistro. Soon it will be delicious, which I read every time I drive past, obsessively wanting it to become a prophecy. A lonely figure at an empty bus stop. Your beautiful lost look flashed behind the dim glass. It's just sadness. The road never ends. Groundhog Day repeats itself decades. People change, and only their roles remain unchanged, insoluble. Here, a random landscape suddenly reminded me of my childhood, and for a moment, you got lost on the bookshelf between the Bradbury volumes, diving into the rustle of the pages. I found myself at my school desk again, dreaming about a bright path to the future, about a time when everything would be fine in a clean office in a good position, when the days like foreign cartoons seemed so sweetly and painfully long, like the universes of good books where we went on binges. Evil and grief have not yet found their names. It's just sadness that I have to always come back into the world of faded shadows, enslaved and devastated holders of passports and professions, into a world of desecrated childhood, ruined youth, insulting old age, a world where pigeons peck out each other's eyes for every crumb of earthly grace, where everything rests only on a vulgar, stable disequilibrium. Just sadness that there is so little true happiness in life. Someday you will realize the greatest misfortune, the loss of yourself. For a long time, your attention will be distracted by endless celebrations, endless guests, food, unhealthy laughter, and the seeming ease of conversations, inspired by alcohol and vanity. But one day, you will see clearly and discover how quickly and prematurely your chosen one has aged, how his speech has become impoverished and his feelings have become impoverished. You will be terrified by the thought that you have long since become accustomed to this, as well as to all the strangers filling the empty cell of the apartment. Outside the windows, there is an eternal sunset, which you see even during the day, like an obsessive, soul-tormenting reminder of what did not come true, an unfulfilled life. I see it everywhere. Every household item, every building has acquired a new, inexpressible and attractive meaning for me. And the more antiquity and desolation in them, the brighter and more expressive the stories of my unlived lives. The glamorous Capitol hides under neon glitter and decorative wall coverings, the peeling paint of a past era, and the compressed dust of disappeared counters. I no longer notice the absurdity of flashy advertising billboards, haphazardly placed on the reinforced concrete milestones of grocery stores, and the garish idleness of roofs painted with inappropriate ornaments, placed instead of the sky on the shoulders of architectural anachronistic Atlanteans. I have the same dream where I wander aimlessly through the old city, get lost in the alleys and giant halls of non-existent libraries, realizing that it is not time that is slipping away from me, but that I am moving further and further away from the world that always exists here and now. Buses unexpectedly change routes and take me to the end of the city or to other cities. A subway tunnel suddenly turns into an unfinished high cage made of wooden rods, and the driver announces a stop, asking passengers to leave the train. Again and again, in oppressive and restless dreams, I find myself on a road familiar from childhood. It leads to the houses of my old friends who have remained in the past, and I walk for a long time, tired and broken, go to my friends, but they hardly recognize me. And even when we all sit down together at a table replete with food and drink, I feel that every next minute of the meal separates me further and further from this unusual company. Inventing various reasons, I leave, continue walking somewhere, meet random people just as drunk as me, continue drinking or quarrel with them. But in the end, I again find myself on a wide and endless road from nowhere to nowhere. And in the morning, breaking out of the vicious circle of meaningless events, opening my crazy eyes and slowly returning to the real world, I initially feel saved. No matter what happens in a dream, reality always turns out to be better and more comfortable. There is always more freedom in it, and an inexplicable sense of selfhood is more vividly manifested, which is completely lost in the absurdity of roles imposed by sleep, decorations, and plots that cannot be abandoned. And only by midday, when the sun's rays fall on the windowsill and the dusty jar with dried violets standing on it, I feel a slight numbness and understand that reality can be very similar to a dream. Water, abyss of rebirth, the basin of the whole earth. I need to choke in this water now, to be resurrected in agony on the gray earth. Ancient stairs and fountains throwing rainbows on the paths, the coolness of a government park. Soviet Empire style huge oak tables and wall clocks of the office. I wander around in painful anticipation, not ready to take the exam. I'm thinking about how to escape, like it was in my dreams many times. And there, outside the window, my mother and father are walking in the park between the fountains. Very young, barely met. Stop. Our time is approaching. My exile in captivity approved by the Ministry of Reincarnation. Commission on Forced Self-Development. Heavenly Office of Duty with the blessing of censors and fonts of Nominal Temple, where they knowingly registered me. Without providing a bed, there will be no reprieve. The clock remains silent when the arrows align. I have nowhere else to run, and there is no hope. Get lost among the angels under the Berlin sky. Father and mother hold my hands neat, like a piece of fine fabric above the washing basin. Father and mother, they indifferently lower me into the water. Half-eaten bills peek out from the thin-lipped, twisted mouth of a wallet. Treat, madam, treat my astral body, my field of stagnation. Write occult signs and secret symbols in the air with your fingers. Walk around me with a measuring tape. Measure me. I love being measured like in childhood when every second woman was a witch and secrets were hidden in barns and wardrobes. Invisible rails were laid along the corridor in my apartment. Crossroads and passes lurked in the twilight. Rustle your colored feathers above me. Give me back the miracle of the moment with clepsydra droppers, measured knock of a quartz lamp. Tiak, tiak. It's sweet for me to pretend to be a wounded soldier, feeling imaginary needles and catgut at the touch of your fingers. The wax melts and crackles, and the water boils. There is a subtle smell of coffee and the whisper of metaphorical cards. Quiet room in timelessness. Oh, how I miss it. Tear out the invisible atom of truth from the flow of knowledge. You risk making things worse for yourself, but make up your mind and inject Dexamethasone. Don't be afraid. Hormone is just a beautiful word, shrouded in myths and fears. Don't be afraid of anything, because no one in the world needs you. Forget your dysmorphophobia and vomitophobia. Throw up what was shoved into you, what has been ripening in you for years, like a tumor. Good cartoons and fairy tales for the mentally retarded, your unfortunate teachers. The randomness and meaninglessness of your pain is a sufficient reason to no longer be afraid of anything. A random molecule, simple or complex, will save or kill you, interrupting a series of meaningless pain. And they will pray to their gods, wave their hands. They will not be taught anything by the fact that their gods and Reiki dances never save anyone. Perhaps you will find your master Castaneda, your invisible atom, and it will be real magic based on simple laws of physics and chemistry. My former gods were called Dexamethasone and polyoxidonium. Now no god can save me. Don't regret your lost dreams, their intoxicating, narcotic lies. Courageously come to terms with the fact that your life will become irreversibly gray and disgusting, with the fact that you, a butterfly with torn-off wings, will have to live out your life in an entomologist's matchbox, where the day lasts longer than a century, and the pin that pressed you to the bottom of the box barely will allow you to breathe. I know too much. I know everything. I know that's what they say when they're going mad. I can't write poetry anymore. I don't want to share anything with anyone. And fortunately, I have nothing to share. My poor texts lose to random neural network delusional generators. NVIDIA video cards write music better than my favorites from youth. I hated my poetry and music. I won't write them anymore. I reach for an empty syringe, swallow soda. There's almost nothing left of their hypnosis. The age of waiting is over, and existence demands action. But my weak heart barely pumps blood. Absolutely alone, alone in the entire universe, I slowly walk through the snow, breathing heavily, looking at the scarlet gleams of dawn beyond the horizon. In a dream, I received a letter from you with an address in an unknown country. And I am going to an unknown country. There, where the riverbank turns into an endless table, abundant with delicacies. Where, at night, the trains of those who have gone into the twilight arrive. It seems to me that something is encrypted in all this. The key to a new, completely different life, which is about to begin. I catch a taxi and continue on my way, squinting and still looking at the glare of the awakening city. I believe in the absurd because it was written in the letter that you will protect me with your hand. The dazzling spring light, the melting snow under the still matte sun, stingy with warmth. I know that sooner or later it will reach me. I close my eyes and lose track of the days and kilometers. And now it seems that the warmth, like a timid little animal, slowly and carefully climbs into the cup of my palm. It does not burn, but slowly spreads through the veins, reaching the heart. Is it your hand in my hand? Is it your hand as promised? Whatever it is, I ask only one thing. Don't let go. Don't let go of my hand. One day, the feet of clay will no longer support the colossus. One day, you will get sick and tired of asking and being afraid. You will throw away the pills and take your share in one gulp, like a glass of vodka in your youth. And you will smoke cigarettes, coughing and wheezing, slightly dull in feelings, but with a painfully clear consciousness. You will stop enduring without sharing the joy of pain. You will stop asking even yourself, and everything that you become will be your answer. I rode a tram in winter and died there. Or maybe my role was soon rewritten. Maybe they gave me a new one. 3 lonely days in a hostel before a new game. A little sick in the morning. I dreamed of my enemy, to whom I insincerely repented, and the enemy did not forgive me. I dreamed of my father. I could not find the words to express my complaint. He interrupted me and said, "You, like me, will one day be completely alone. Get used to it. Get ready. I'm getting used to gray hair, to mature, wrinkled skin, to the status of a respectable buyer of everything that I used to dream of as a young man. When you buy a dream, you never feel bad about it. Yes, in my head, there are only numbers, bare numbers, the cold tread of calculation, giving the steps a new direction. Goodbye, friends who were never really with me. Farewell, characters who wore me out like a holy cloak. Sometimes I'm afraid that at the end of the day I won't have the right number in my pocket. But at least there won't be lies. At least there won't be lies. There will be no more lies.